Hi, I'm Chef Alan Tatro with Global Sugar Art. For so many years, the buttercream rose was the flower that everybody wanted to learn how to make. I love how cake decorating morphs with what brides are looking for in their wedding bouquets. And right now, ranunculus are a really hot flower in the wedding market. And today I want to show you how to make ranunculus out of buttercream. They're really not that difficult to do. To begin with, I have a video out on how to make a really great buttercream icing that you would use just for making flowers, and that's what I'm using today. So you can check my YouTube videos and find that, that recipe. It will also be on our website. So for the ranunculus today, I've created a green, and I'm using an olive green food coloring, and then 2 shades of sort of a peachy rose color. And to get that, I used lemon yellow, rose pink, and just regular pink icing color. The rose pink and the regular pink together with the yellow will give you this nice creamy peach color. To make the ranunculus, I'm going to use a large flower nail, and I've cut some little pieces of parchment. I'm going to stick one right on there. The beginning is very much like a rose, but just the very beginning. So I'm going to create a little mound in the middle and then go around it. And then in the center, I'm going to make a little point and just go around it. That's the only part. I'm just going to give myself, I want to keep the tip clean. That's the only part that really resembles the rose. Now, when a rose opens up, you see that little point in the middle, and the flowers open up around that point. A ranunculus, the center, the petals overlap each other, and it sort of opens up like a peony. So the center is going to look different from here. So I'm going to start on one side and go right over the top. And I'm going to do that 4 times. And that sort of gives you that woven look. If I want a little larger center, I'm going to do this again. And that's the center of the ranunculus. Now, that was a tip 102, so this is going to be a smaller one. I'm using a tip 120, which is a curved petal tip to make the outside leaves. So I'm going to start at the bottom. I'll explain what I'm going to do first. I'm going to start at the bottom, I'm going to come up around the top, and then I'm going to come back to the bottom. And I'm going to do that 4 times. Each time, I look at the petal I just made, and I'm starting right in the middle of it. And there are 4 petals to go around. And now with the 5th petal, I'm going to start going up a little higher and a little further out. And there you have a buttercream ranunculus. Now all I would do is put these on a little board or a tray, and I would freeze these before I decorate a cake with them. You can use the scissors just like you do with a rose, and you can reach under and lift it and put it right on the cake. But I find these are a large flat flower, and they're better and they're easier to handle if you let them freeze a little bit and then just place them on the cake. So I'm going to make another one. This time I'm going to go a little bit larger. I'm going to use a 104 tip for the center. And for the outside petals, I'm going to go up to a 122 or a 123. So we'll make one more. So start with a little daub in the middle, go around it, fill it in, and that's my base. And now I'm going to pipe just like a rose. I'm going to start the center right there. And now, if you've made a lot of roses, your habit is to keep that pointed end sort of flared out from the flower so that the leaves open up, the petals open up. It's the exact opposite when you're making a ranunculus. You want to turn that inwards. So whether you come from the back of the flower or the front of the flower, it doesn't matter. Make sure that that thin point is tilted toward the center and not out. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And I could do another set. And now I'm going to go with a larger tip and a little lighter color. Now, because of the tilt of this tip, you'll notice that it has a large end and a small end. Because of the way this is curved, I can only come from the back of the flower. I can't do it from the front of the flower. It has to come from the back of the flower. Otherwise, the petal won't curve into it. So start at the bottom, come up, there's 4. And there's another, a little larger ranunculus. Now, one thing I wanted to explain about ranunculus, if you look at a real life ranunculus, from a distance it looks like the petals are very, very long and wrap around the center. But in fact, if you look at it very closely, they're very, very tiny petals, and there's so many so close together that from a distance it looks like one solid petal. So you will see a lot of people make ranunculus, and they'll use a leaf tip or a petal tip, and they'll just go around and around and around without stopping. I think that a real ranunculus looks better if it has multiple petals, because in actuality they really do. So that's how to make the ranunculus. One of the other decorations that go really well with this are eucalyptus. And I'm using an olive green, a dark olive green, and I'm using a tip 59, 60, or 61. And that's just a very smaller version of the other curved petal tip. I'm going to make a tall mound of icing, just straight up like that. This is why it's important to have a really good quality of buttercream icing for flowers. Start at the bottom and just make a little curve. Then go behind that one and make another one. And now start behind that one and make one more. And that gives you sort of like the top of a eucalyptus branch. I'll make one more for you. It's important to keep the tips clean, especially these curved tips tend to fill in really quickly, and then they sort of mess up the flower. So we're going to go make a nice tall center. Start at the back, come up maybe a third of the way, start under that one, another third, start behind that one, and come up to the top. And that's all there is. Now the last thing that I like to do is create some leaves. You can pipe the leaves directly on the cake, or you can make them ahead and also freeze these. And I'm going to go to a 102 tip with that. And I'm going to make a little leaf, and I'm just going to start in one spot and go back and forth. So you want the top a little wider than the bottom. And you can do these in different shades of green. Whoops! Remember that the wide end of the tip is facing me, the thin end is facing outwards. And that's all there is to making the leaves. And again, I would put these all in the freezer, give them about 10 or 15 minutes, and then we'll decorate a cake with them. So I've made an assortment of flowers, and I've let them sit in the freezer for about 10 minutes. And I'm just going to show you the basics of how you would decorate with them. So I've got a cake that I've iced and combed the edge just to give it a little texture, piped some borders on it, and I'm just going to add some icing on the top. And that's sort of a way to lift the flowers up. Now you can use a little pair of scissors to lift these off the paper, or if they're cold enough, you really can just use your hands and they'll come right off. So I'm going to go with a little darker one. And maybe we'll just put one more in there. And then you can add these little eucalyptus. Kind of squeeze those in. The rest of the process is basically the same. Just transfer the semi-frozen buttercream decorations onto your cake and go ahead and finish it. Remember that the right icing makes a real big difference in piping all these flowers, so please do watch my YouTube video on how to make a buttercream specifically designed for piping flowers. The tips we used today were the Wilton 102 and 104, and then I used the Tico 120 to 123. The colors I used today were the olive green, and these are the Chef Allen Select gel colors, olive green, rose pink, the regular pink, and lemon yellow. They're really not hard to make. Just remember to watch which way the thin point of the tip is facing. You always want that facing in the flower, not outward like you do most other flowers. So there's a little trick there, but with a couple tries, you'll get it with no problem. Thank you for watching. All the supplies are available at globalsugarart.com. I hope you have a great day.